Irrational Confidence Podcast. The top 25, 24th ranked team in the country. This is the Texas A&M Aggies. Was 7-6 last year, and I'm glad Texas A&M has made that decision to get rid of Jimbo Fisher.
I think 9-3 is the ceiling.
I got them 10-2 best case. All right, Fresh, let's go to our 24th ranked team in the country. This is the Texas A&M Aggies, and I bet you a lot of people are going to kind of get in the comments and say, like, we have Texas A&M pretty low here. Do we? I don't think we do, actually. I think Mike Elko's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. I like Mike Elko. I like him actually much better than Jimbo Fisher, and I'm glad Texas A&M has made that decision to get rid of Jimbo Fisher. Mike Elko coming in over from Duke. Texas A&M, though, was 7-6 last year. I mean, and they had some serious talent over there. Connor Wegman is back, leading the charge over there. We've seen what Elko did with Riley Leonard. Saw what he did with Duke. He's a good coach. What you got for A&M here, Fresh?
I think it's the exact same scenario we've talked about USC, where they had individuals under Jimbo. A lot of obviously highly touted recruits. There's, it started out the whole thing between Jimbo and Nick Saban about the money and buying players and that sort of thing. A lot of highly praised guys coming in, but playing as individuals. Elko is going to come in and change his culture where the players are no longer, I'm going to say, in control. I think they knew they were in control of Jimbo, and the players now are going to have the respect of Elko. He's going to push them to be better. And that voice in the locker room, that coaching philosophy, that being a man is going to change the overall philosophy of that team and that production on the field. The fans there at Texas A&M, they're tough. If you ever, the Junction boys, Bear Bryant started at A&M after Kentucky, but he was tough. He challenged them. That's kind of what the embodiment they've always built off of being tough, physical, hardworking, the 12th man, the walk-on program, all that stuff. That kind of drive and mentality, I think, is back with Elko, and that will change. That will take talented players and make them into football players, talented athletes into a team, and you're going to see that starting out this season. I don't think it's going to – you might get a push week one when they play Notre Dame, but as the year goes on, you're going to see a much more consistent play from this football team. Shamar Stewart, he could have left. He could have gone in the portal. He stayed. Reuben Owens, a very talented running back. I think he's raw, but he showed some flashes last year. He's going to be an interesting bell cow in that game because the running game is going to be much more of a focus, a continued focus as this football team moves forward. Wegman, last year, injured in the fourth game, still threw for 979, 8 touchdowns, 2 picks, and ran for 2 touchdowns. Completed 68.9% of his passes. He has a severe amount of talent. Letting him develop and get comfortable as a quarterback, keeping him healthy, I think you'll see success as the year moves on. The reason both the Reuben Owens and Wegman are going to be successful is also offensive system is now being run by Colin Klein. For anyone who knows football, Kansas State quarterback Colin Klein, he was the OC at K-State the past few years. He is now the OC there in A&M. He's going to bring that mobile quarterback, that running game, that intermediate passing game, and develop this offense a little bit and make them think outside the box. Jimbo's offense, very pro style, very predictable, very boring. This is going to be a big change that's going to help them revitalize that team and use the talent the best way they possibly can. And a running game and a solid quarterback will help keep this team in line, let the defense play, shorten the game, and get out there in ugly wins, but they're going to win football games as they go on. They aren't going to be an 11-1 or 10-2 football team, folks. Let's just tap the brakes there. But the talent they still have will find ways to be proven and put in positions to succeed. I think the hype and the overshadowing of the recruiting class 2 years ago, that shine being taken off now, not being gone, is going to allow the players to play a little more freer because there was a lot of pressure after that class came in. And the players had to perform. Being in the SEC West, having to play Alabama and LSU and go through that, there was a lot there. I think the guys collapsed. And then having Jimbo have the pressure on him, he didn't allow them to play in their abilities. He tried to held them too tight. They all lost. I think Elko's going to give them a breath of fresh air. You're going to see Wegman succeed. And this team, as the year goes on, will get better and better and better as they move toward November.
I don't know really what to make of A&M. I mean, I like Wegman, and they return You talk a lot about Owens, but they also return Moss. They also return, Daniels. They return I think 4 guys who ran the ball over 90 times. If I remember right. No, I'm sorry, 3 guys who ran the ball over 90 times, and another guy who had another like 40 carriers there. It needs to be a ground and pound attack for A&M. And I know that that's not going to go over well with fans. I know in this day of college football where you throw the ball all over the field as well. But I think that you can look at programs like, and again, the comparison is there for the taking, but a program that is very similar to like West Virginia, if they can lead that with a very dynamic rushing attack with what they have, and then use the rushing attack to open up the passing game and to hit some of these big play guys that they have on the outside there between Thomas. You take a look at a guy like Noah Thomas and Walker, both of them coming back for them as their starting wide receivers. Both of them 6'4", 6'6". They're 2 huge targets. Should give something Wegman to work in the red zone there. But you got to show that you can run the football, especially at A&M there as well. Elko's going to do more. Is probably going to do way more on the defensive side of the football because his background is as a defensive coordinator dating back to his days all the way back at Notre Dame. I'll be intrigued to see what he does in that regard. You talk about the talent that A&M have brought into college football and into College Station is why I want to stay right there. But you see all of that talent, and then you are looking at going, well, yeah, they got one guy, 8 sacks, 4 sacks. And you look at all of those guys that I don't know. I really expect A&M to just have this dominant pass rush that I saw flashes at times, but some of those guys are gone now. And are they going to be able to pressure the quarterback on the other side here? I don't know. I think that's a lot of things. Every time you would ask me something about A&M, I'd be like, I don't know. I legitimately don't know on this team right now because, yeah, we can read a bunch of stuff on the paper. We could call them paper champions. There's talent on the paper. But again, to go through what they've gone through, there's there's all those stories that were out there about the lack of accountability under Jimbo. Elko doesn't seem like that type of guy. But again, it's easy to do those things when you're a head coach at Duke. Much more difficult when there's expectations over there at Texas A&M. I'll be intrigued. It's definitely one of the programs I'm intrigued to watch with here. But, go ahead, Fresh.
You mentioned accountability. 19 players have transferred out as of the end of April,
Yeah.
including Walter Nolan, Evan Stewart, LT Overton, Jacoby Matthews, and Verdale Diggs. I mean, talk about the pass rush. That's a heck of a bunch of players on defense and playmaker receiver. All of those are gone. Were all those the headaches? Or are those just named players you're trying to get an eye on, try to win and get to the league? Who knows? There might have been some no-name player on that team who was making a headache. Usually those guys are the ones who picked up the football team quicker because you have more tolerance for more talent.
Right.
But that will be a shakeup. Maybe other guys want those guys gone so that they can actually play and they're being held back. Where's that turmoil? Who connects with Elko and that offense and the defensive system they're going to be putting in play? It's going to be a major psychology course and study in the A&M locker room and the A&M football program in general.
Yeah, this schedule's manageable for them. I got their toughest stretch is that stretch with October 5th with Missouri. Then they're off a week, luckily coming off that. But then they got to go Mississippi State. They get LSU at Kyle Field, and then you got to go over to South Carolina. I think that 4-game stretch, 2 on the road, 2 at home, that's going to make or break the season. That's going to be a difference again. I'm going to say their best case scenario with Elko is 10-2 on this one. There's a couple of these teams that, you got to go into the swamp in September there. You got to go to Auburn. We'll see what Auburn is this year. That's not easy to go into the Plains and win that game, especially late in the year. And then the big rivalry that's back, and people don't understand how big this rivalry is Texas versus Texas A&M to end the season. I got them best case scenario 10-2. Worst case scenario, it's same as last year. I'll give them an extra one. I'll go 8-4 for them, worst case scenario. But 10-2 is their ceiling for me.
I mean, that trip is mine is starting with the South Carolina trip. New Williams
Okay,
Brice could be an intimidating place to play if you're a highly ranked team and they have nothing to play for. Because ask Tennessee, they've
that's
beaten other
true.
teams who, they take them out. All right, I'm gonna, the New Mexico State game, whatever, but then travel to Jordan Hare, play in Auburn, and then Texas. Are they looking ahead to Texas and not thinking about Auburn down the end? Are they in a position to maybe play for an elite bowl game? Are they on the edge of a playoff spot with these games down the stretch? Where's their mind at? How are they going to get there? So I kind of look at the last four of the season because this team is going to have to get better as the year goes on. And where are they at? And can they mature enough to live in the moment and play smart football when it matters most at the end? Um, I think 9-3 is the ceiling. The one positive thing is that all their big games are at home.
Right,
Notre Dame, LSU, Missouri, Texas, they have them all. If they can get three of those four or even split 2-2, they're in a great spot. You don't have to
right.
worry about the hostile environment on the road against an elite team as it stands right now. Um, the floor is 6-6. I mean, they did lose a lot of talent. Maybe they just don't have enough guys in the roster right yet to play. Who knows? But 6-6 is the worst. 9-3 would be the best situation for them.
Yeah, interesting. They're one. I don't know, man. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by A&M, but I gotta see it on the field first for me to really like jump on that bandwagon there.